Goals are great, but it's the commitments that lead to greatness. And you have to be a team that's committed. And if you have these commitments, that leads you to your goals. So then we had a conversation about what they're going to be committed to. And it was a completely different conversation talking about your commitments that will lead you to your goals. Because you can have a goal of winning a championship, which every team does in every single locker room, but only one team wins the championship. And it's usually the team that's most committed to each other.
What if you were able to sit down for lunch with some of the greatest leaders in the world? What would you ask? What would they say? Welcome to the Linch with a Leader podcast, where you're invited to join us in learning the spiritual principles behind big success. Here's your host, Mike Lynch.
If you've been around teams for any length of time, you know winning doesn't just happen. There are some habits behind the scenes of those winning teams, and that's what we're going to talk about on this episode of Linch with a Leader. If I've never met you before, my name is Mike, and it is my honor to be on this leadership journey with you as we're all seeking to be the leaders that we were created to be in the spaces and places that God has put us. Well, thanks for joining us for episode 246 of the Linch with a Leader podcast. We get to sit down again today with one of my very first guests, Jon Gordon. Jon was sort of making a name for himself in 2017, and now Jon Gordon is a name, right? You mentioned the name Jon Gordon in a business setting or in a sports setting. Everybody knows Jon Gordon as Mr. Positive, and he has written, I think Energy Vampire was the one that sort of put him on the map, and man, he's written so many great books, and we've had Jon on, I think this is Jon's third time on the podcast, and man, every time he just brings it, and today is no different. So I don't know if you're a normal listener or you just saw the name Jon Gordon. I'm telling you, you're in for a treat today. But there's so many other great guests that come on and off the show. Make sure and subscribe to YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen from, because you don't ever want to miss a guest because they're all so unique and so good. Well, today, Jon gets into his sweet spot. His sweet spot is winning teams. He is in and out of the locker rooms and in and out of the boardrooms of some of the people in this country and some of the teams and companies in this country. We all know. Jon knows. And Jon was able to synthesize the things he's learned, and I think we all get to learn from it. So buckle up. This is a good one. I'm telling you. It's a good one. It's going to end our summer run. We'll have takeaways the following week and then back with another great episode right after that. But man, this is the way to cap off summer right here. So I don't know where you're listening from today. I want you to pull out something to write with, and I want you to pull up a chair, and I want you to listen in to my conversation with Jon Gordon. Well, Jon, thank you so much for joining me again on Linch with a Leader, man. It is great to have you back, buddy.
Mike, it's great to be back. I'm in a really good mood because my wife and I just went to Louisiana and we had these tests done after eating some good gumbo and etouffee. But we had these tests done where it screens your body with an MRI and also your heart with a different machine. There's a 3D image of your heart. So you look at your heart, you look at your body, and then we did all this blood work and just wanted to make sure that we didn't have any cancer or anything like that. And thank God everything came back okay. Besides a little wear and tear, little arthritis, which is they said is normal for being an athlete.
Yep.
But besides that, my wife was okay and I was okay because, you know, you do that test and you're not sure what it's going to come back with.
I know.
And thankfully, we're healthy, so a lot of years hopefully left and a lot of pickleball games to be played.
That's right. And it's so funny, man, that we're at an age now, you got to go do that stuff. In fact, I sat on my back porch with another buddy yesterday, and he had just had that done. And he's like, dude, you got to go do it, Lynch. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to know, man. I sort of don't want to know what's in the engine down there.
I was feeling the same way, like, do I really want to know? But then afterwards, I'm glad I know, because when it looks at your heart, it actually can tell if you have any blockage whatsoever. So a guy that might seem healthy,
that's right,
might have some blockage or the widowmaker blockage blockage, which is really bad. And this is going to tell. So if you have a widowmaker blockage, it's going to let you know. If you have any blockage, it's going to let you know. And that's good. Now you can still die of a million other things, right? When it's your time, it's your time. So I trust in God. I believe in God. And I know that God has a plan, but perhaps getting tested like this is maybe part of God's plan to save some lives, because a lot of people have been saved when they get early detection like this.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that analogy too, John. Your newest book, The 7 Commitments of Great Teams, is really getting under the engine of these teams, right? You have walked in locker rooms, and every locker room, a pro locker room, a college locker room, they all look great. But when you get down in the guts of it, man, not all of them are as healthy. How quick can you pick up now? A team calls you in to speak, you throw on their shirt, you walk in the locker room, they're 0-0, but they ain't played a game yet. How quick can you pick up if something's wrong under the hood? What would you say?
By the way, I love that you're such a great communicator, the way you made that analogy. That is awesome. Very, very cool. You can tell that you are a pastor. You know how to communicate. So basically, I could tell after all these years now, 20 years, working with teams, working with organizations and companies, being in so many locker rooms, you can tell which teams are connected or not. You can tell where the gaps are, where the issues are, just by having conversations with the coaches and the players. And also there's a feel, there's an energy. When I went to speak to the Commanders before their playoff run last year, when they went to Tampa Bay and beat them, and then they beat, I think, the Lions, and I mean, they were on fire. There was something special. I could feel that energy, that culture that Dan Quinn created. I mean, Dan Quinn is an amazing coach, created an incredible culture, and I felt the brotherhood and the leadership. And then talking to the guys, you knew this was real. So pretty quickly, I could tell watching a team. I've watched basketball teams practice in the NBA, and I've been able to tell the coach what I see. And they're like, how did you know? I just knew by watching.
Yep. How open are most coaches when you say it? Because it's sort of like me, right? With getting that thing done. There's just sometimes I really don't want, I think I know, I don't want to know. What separates the great coaches and great leaders from the average ones when you pick up on something and they ask you and you tell them?
Mike, they want to know. They want to get better. I am wearing a training camp shirt. This is from the event that I did called Training Camp. And I had Billy Donovan there, Dabo Sweeney, Trent Dilfer, Sean McVay, Matt Rule, Kevin O'Connell, the coach of the Vikings. I mean, we had Eddie George, one of the best lineups ever of coaches, probably the best lineup of a collection of coaches. Mac Brown, I mean, is hanging out. Dabo Sweeney, all just hanging out, talking to each other, talking to the audience. We had 150 business leaders. And I tell you this because Billy Donovan, who just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, Billy Donovan said, John, I'd love to come share. You invited me to share. I'd love to come talk, but I really want to come and learn from the other coaches. He's already in the Hall of Fame. And here's Billy wants to learn from these other coaches and hear what they have to say. And then here's Dabo. After he speaks, he was supposed to sign some footballs and do some video. And he goes, hey, can I do this later? I want to go in. I want to hear what Sean has to say. So Dabo wanted to go in and hear what Sean McVay had to say. And so this training camp event that I did it was my first year doing it, bringing all these coaches together and having them share was off the charts. Unbelievable. Nothing like it. But what made it so great was that these coaches are lifelong learners.
That's right.
And they want to learn. And the audience picked up on that. The audience, these business leaders that were there, were blown away that these coaches, after they talked, sat in the audience and took notes. They didn't go to a green room. There was no green room. It was about everyone just hanging out and learning and growing together. And that's what separates these guys.
That's right.
Buzz Williams is taking notes the entire time. Corey Close was there. She was awesome, and everyone's learning from her. She's the UCLA women's basketball coach. And as they're talking, as they're sharing, everyone's writing down notes and taking notes. And you're going, wow, okay, these are the best of the best. And that's what separates. You get these sometimes high school coaches who think they know it all.
That's right.
And you have these Hall of Fame coaches who are still learning and growing and will learn from the high school coach and say, what do you got for me? How can I get better? Coaches would call me up all the time and say, hey, what's the latest? What's something new that I haven't heard? Eric Spoelstra said, hey, what do you know, John, that I need to know? What are you hearing these days? What's out there? They're always looking for the edge because they always want to get better And that's what separates the best from the rest.
Yeah, and that, College Baseball World Series is going on right now, and I remember hosting a baseball conference a few years ago, and Gary Gilmore at Coastal Carolina had just won it. And after I interviewed him, he was sitting on the front row to hear Ron Polk, the legendary Mississippi State coach. And so after it was over, I was like, Coach, what's up with that? He goes, Mike, that guy, he's forgotten more baseball than I'll ever know. Yeah, we won it. Yes. But man, there's so much more about lasting. And that's what the great ones do. And in the beginning of the book, you say teammates are forever. And boy, that is so true. And I just saw you online connect with your old Cornell teammates. What is the power of a team and the relationships that get built with the people on that team?
Well, that's what's so special. My coach, before he passed away, said those exact words to me. I told him how he changed my life. This is Richie Moran. The Lacrosse Hall of Fame is named after him. So he's a legendary coach. He's on his deathbed. And he said, remember, John, teammates are forever. Teammates are forever. And I couldn't get that out of my head. I couldn't get that out of my head because when he said that, I thought, wow, teammates are forever. So I knew one day I would write a book with that line in it. And that's how the book starts, where Tim, the main character, is at his coach's deathbed. And coach says to Tim, remember, teammates are forever. It's the teammates who love, who care, who commit to each other. That's why this book is the 7 commitments of a great team. If you commit to your teammates, that commitment you make, that love that you share, if you sacrifice, that's what's eternal. That's what lasts forever. If you're just a teammate that goes through the motions, you don't care about each other, that's not a forever teammate. So I make that distinction in the book. At the end of the book, the main character says he realized that it's the teammates who care and commit are the ones that are truly forever. So when you join together with a team and you're there for each other and you're committing to each other and you're fighting for each other, that's what leads to a teammate that's forever, a team that's forever, and a team that accomplishes something amazing. When you see a team win it all, what do they always say? We loved each other.
Yep.
We cared about
every
each other.
time.
We were willing to sacrifice for each other. Every team must give and give up. So when you have a team of individuals, what are you going to give to your team? And what are you going to give up for your team? And if you're a guy who likes to score all the time, you might have to give up maybe the ball a few times so that you could be a great teammate. You might have to give up your selfish desire to help the team win. Whatever it may be, we all have to give up something.
You say it right at the top, and I love you hit commitment so hard because that's what the book's about. And you said commitments are greater than goals. I think every team is so big, and we live in a very goal-setting culture. Why are commitments more important than a goal that's written on a wall?
So I was with a Major League Baseball team, and I asked them, how many of you have goals? They all raised their hand. I said, how many have them written down? Half of the people raised their hand, half of the guys. Then I said, how many of you have your commitments written down? No one had their commitments written down. No one even had commitments. They had their goals. I said, guys, goals are not going to take you to where you want to go. Goals are great, but it's the commitments that lead to greatness. And you have to be a team that's committed. And if you have these commitments, that leads you to your goals. So then we had a conversation about what they're going to be committed to. And it was a completely different conversation talking about your commitments that will lead you to your goals. Because you can have a goal of winning a championship, which every team does in every single locker room, but only one team wins the championship. And it's usually the team that's most committed to each other, to the vision and mission, to the commitments that I outlined in the book, and also has the talent. You got to have the talent as well. And when you have all those factors together, those commitments lead you to your goals. Because I believe that this book's going to change the conversation around goals and get everyone to start focusing on commitments. I already have had hundreds of coaches reach out and say, hey, we're focused on commitments now, not so much goals. Now, again, I want you to create the goals, but then write down your commitments that will lead you to your goals. When I've done this with Clemson football, I had guys say, I'm going to commit more to watching more film. I'm going to commit to eating better because during the season, my body usually breaks down because I eat too much fast food. I'm going to commit to better recovery so I can heal and be stronger throughout the year. Now they're talking about the things and the process that will lead them to greater goals.
That's really good. I want to take a couple of these commitments. One of those, and your first one was commit to valuing each other. What is the key for a teammate to value another teammate? What do they have to do? I think everybody appreciates each other, but valuing each other is a little bit different. How do you view that?
Yeah, well, value is an acronym in the book. There's validate. You got to validate that person. Hey, you're worthy. I validate you. I see who you are. There's an appreciation there. There's that A in value is appreciation. I'm thankful for you. There's the L, which is I'm going to listen to you and make sure that I hear what you have to say. There's the U, which is I'm going to understand where you're coming from. And then there's the E, I'm going to empathize with you and really understand that you have a situation, you have a past, you have a journey. You're going through things that I may not know about, but I'm going to empathize with you, knowing that wherever you are, I want to put myself in your shoes and feel what you feel, or at least do my best to do that. And valuing someone is to see, I believe, God in them. It's to know that they're a child of God and that they have value because the Creator says they have value. Everyone has value. You're not valued based on your accomplishment, your title, how much money you have, what awards you received, how great you are at a sport. That's not where your value comes from. It comes from who you are on the inside, and God put that there. So I think that's the key. When a team sees that each person is important and each person is valuable, then I'm going to actually adhere to the other commitments. I'm going to make sure that I do the other commitments, because if you don't value someone, you're not going to commit in any other way to them. Because if I don't think that you're valuable, then I'm not going to commit to making time to connect with you. I'm not going to commit to working with you. I'm not going to commit to sacrificing for you. So I have to see that there's value in you. Why do we commit to our kids? Because we think our kids are so awesome because we created them, right? We think they're awesome because we created them. So we see value in them. Well, I often say God doesn't have grandkids, right? God doesn't have grandkids. These kids are God's children more than they're my children. So the value that we place on them should be based on how God sees them.
And you know this, when we both played college athletics. I mean, you live around these people. I mean, this is there's a lot of time you spend. You know everybody's good, you know everybody's bad, and you won't make it unless you value them. You won't make it because people are going to get on your nerves. People are going to take your position. And if you lose that value, and you have one of the other commitments, and I want to sit on this one for a second, commit to staying positive together. So many times they bring in Jon Gordon, Mr. Positive, to kick off the year, right? I mean, you said it. Every team is heading out to win the College World Series, to win the college football championship, to win the NFL or the World Series. But not all are going to do it. In fact, some are going to come out of spring training and they're going to go 0 for the first 15 games, and they're out. What is the key to teams like that, staying positive together when the W's and L's aren't taking care of themselves? What would you tell them?
Yeah, when I arrived during training camp or spring training, the teams are all positive because they're undefeated.
That's right.
They haven't lost yet. There's no meaningful games that have been played yet. So the key here is to make sure that we set the tone early on. Like, how will we respond to the adversity that we face? Now, every team needs to face adversaries and adversity. It's the adversaries and the adversity that are your partners in growth. They make you stronger. Sadahara, the Japanese Babe Ruth, he looked at the pitcher as his partner in growth. Your competition is your partner in growth. So as you're going throughout the season, how are you growing? How are you getting better? You look at your losses and your wins as catalysts for growth. The losses can help you grow. John Madden said winning is a great deodorant. It covers up what stinks about your team. So you might be winning, but guess what? You also are not dealing with the issues that your team has. So you have to recognize that there's room for growth and you can still get better. So no matter what you're going through, the wins and the losses, the ups and downs, you decide to stay positive, that you believe we can get better. You believe that we can win the next game. You believe in each other. And you have this optimism about the future. And you're staying positive, which means you're not allowing negativity to bring you down. You're not allowing the circumstances or the losses to hold you back and keep you from being your best. Because so many times we get discouraged because of the negativity. And we allow the expectations of others to cause us to feel like we don't even want to play. The key is go love the game, love competing, love the battle. Do it from the inside out, knowing create from the inside out. It's not about the outside or what the world thinks. You show up every day being your best that day, that game. It means that you focus on what you get to do, not what you have to do. You get to play this game. You get to do this. You get to compete. You have the talent, you have the ability, and you have the health to do it while so many are unhealthy. It means you have faith along the way that no matter what you're going through, I have faith that tomorrow, no matter where we are, we can get better. Right now, the Rockies are not having a great season.
That's right.
Let's have faith that we can win the next one and then the next one, and we can go on a run no matter what our record is. Let's have that faith. The Miami Heat I worked with one year, they started 11-30. They finished 30-11. Why? This team stayed positive while other teams gave up, and they stuck together. They stayed connected, and that's why they had a great season. So that faith is an important part of the journey. And then there's the talking to yourself instead of listening to yourself. On a daily basis, we got to talk to ourselves with words of life, words of encouragement, and we got to talk to each other and encourage our teammates along the way. We can't allow pessimism to seep in. We got to stay optimistic and that belief, because what you believe will determine what you create.
That's right.
And when I talk about belief is interesting. You can't touch it, but you can feel it. And you can't measure it, but you know when a team has it. And as a team rises higher and faces greater challenges, new levels, new devils,
That's right.
your belief must rise higher too. So the belief of a team is essential. So a great leader gets the team to believe in themselves, in each other, and what they can accomplish together. And each person's individual belief and optimism contributes to the collective belief and optimism of the team. So your belief as a team, that collective belief, will determine ultimately what you accomplish during that year. So believe together, succeed together. And by the way, that tip I just gave, those series of tips, it spells light, Ligh too. So it's love, it's inside out, it's get to, it's have faith, and it's also talk to yourself. You got to live life. Live light and stay positive.
That's so good. And you used a word in there, John, I think so good. It's the word discouraged.
Yeah.
Man, when you lose positivity and you get discouraged, I heard a great leader, Ray Johnston, say, anytime somebody comes up to him and says, how can I pray for you? And this is really wise. He said, pray I stay encouraged. Because he said discouragement always precedes destruction. So how has Jon Gordon, when you start off positive, man, you face stuff like anybody else. You have a team.
Yep.
You're leading a team. How have you learned to stay positive when you can feel that discouragement bus pulling up in the parking lot, and it's way easier to get on it than to stay encouraged? How have you done that?
We don't give up because it's hard. We give up because we're discouraged.
That's right.
And so our encouragement keeps us going. And the word encourage means to put courage into. So when you're encouraging someone, you're putting courage into them. When you encourage yourself, and sometimes we have to encourage ourselves, we put courage into ourselves. Throughout my life, I've faced so much adversity and obstacles and failures along the way. And I'm just someone who kept telling myself I could do it. Now, I would get down, and I consider myself a pessimistic optimist, which means at first I get down and I'm pessimistic. But then there's this moment of eternal hope that I just can't stay here, that I've got to go for it. I've got to believe somehow, some way, I'm going to make it work. The Energy Bus was rejected by 30 publishers.
Wow.
So here I was dealing with rejection after rejection, being told my dream was not going to happen. When it came out, finally, bookstores would not carry the book. It took 5 years for the Energy Bus to become a bestseller. I gave talks early on that I'm not proud of. They were not great talks. And I was told, you should just give up. This career is not for you. But I couldn't give up because I believed I was going to do something and make a difference. So I kept going. But there was moments of discouragement, moments, and even days. But I would say there were not weeks and not months of discouragement.
That's right.
I would get down and then I would lift myself back up and say, keep going. There were moments as an athlete in high school where I lost a starting position or I wasn't even considered a starter. And I had to fight for the starting position, eventually winning the job. Won the job at running back, won the job at lacrosse as a face-off guy. Told coach I wanted to play in college. He laughed at me. I wound up going to play lacrosse at Cornell University. Told coach I wanted to be a starter on the football team. He's like, yeah, we'll see. Told coach I wanted to play Division I football. Got recruited by Yale and Lehigh to play football. So I've always been told I couldn't do it, but I always believed I could. So I think I'm a walking example of the lessons that I've taught, because I faced the discouragement, I faced the negativity, I faced the setbacks, and the internal doubt that I've had along the way so often. And then it's that trust in a greater God. It's trusting in God that allows me to overcome the doubt. A greater plan that's beyond what I could imagine. 32 books, over 5 million books sold. My publisher told me the other day, they said, you have about 5,300,000 books that have been sold out there. I'm like, no way. And my teammates cannot believe what I'm doing now. Because they're like, you were a mental wreck in college.
That's fantastic.
But guess what? I got my revenge because all the teammates in the book of the 7 Commitments of a Great Team are named after my teammates from college.
I love it.
So Tills is John Tillman, the coach of Maryland, who coached Maryland, who played against Cornell in the finals in the championship. So I named all the teammates after them. And it's true, though. They can't believe what I'm doing now because I was a mental wreck. But through my life of overcoming, studying positivity, becoming a person of faith, trusting in God, relying on God, I always say it's amazing what God can do.
That's right.
With so little. He's like, I'm going to take this, because basically my mom was Jewish and my biological father was Jewish. I'm going to take this Jewish kid from Long Island, New York, and I'm going to somehow use this kid to become someone who can write these books and share a godly message with others to bring people closer to themselves, to their teammates, to their craft, and ultimately to God. And so I could see God's hand on it, that he would use someone like me who I didn't think I could accomplish what I have. Trust me, your life should not make sense but for the grace of God.
That's right.
And I know that he is the power source because I know I'm not that smart, I'm not that good, and I've got to give it all to him.
You know, one of the things I think you have modeled really well out of your commitments is the commitment to get better. And you were talking about all the coaches, how the great ones always get better. We have known each other for quite a while now through Mike Smith and our journey back with the Falcons back in those days. How do you, as a leader, keep getting better? What has been something you go, because you're not the John that I met. You're the same guy, but you're better, right? I mean, you're more polished, you're sharper, smarter. You know who you are. Yeah. I think I heard a great leader, Bob Beal, say, in your 50s and late 50s, you hit your stride. Yeah. I think you're in your stride years right now. How do you keep getting better and you don't rely on the success of the first 31 books? How do you do that?
Yeah, at 54, you're right. I feel like I'm hitting my stride, and there's a conviction there now. There's a knowing. Like, I know what I've done. I know all the teams I've helped. I know the leaders that I meet with and I help on their journey. Like, I know that I'm here to develop positive leaders who make a positive impact in every business, school, team, organization, and community around the world to create a more positive world. Like, my vision and mission is really bold now more than ever. I'm convicted. I'm passionate. I know I'm here to develop positive leaders. And me and my team, through our certification programs, our trainings, our workshops, that's what we're doing. And that's what I'm here to do. So I know what I'm here to do, but I also know that in order to be able to do that at a bigger scale, you got to rise higher. You got to grow. You got to get better. So for me, it's about just looking at where my deficiencies are, or being very self-aware that I need to be a better leader, for instance. To grow, I need to be a better leader. I know that I love writing and speaking. Mike, I'm now running a company. I have a company that we're doing all these training, have all these people. I'm having more conversations than I ever had. I'm an introvert. I like to write and speak. I get on stage, I speak, I write, I get my energy from writing. So I'm more of an introvert. So now I'm talking more, I'm engaged more. I have a team I'm dealing with. I hired a president recently, working side by side with him. He's great, but I'm still very active and engaged. I have to be. And in doing that, I'm looking at where I need to be a better leader, where I need to improve. I know I get frustrated at times, even though I'm a positive leader, right? I get frustrated. I am impatient because I'm a driver. And I see it so clearly, but the team doesn't see it yet. It's a complex issue when with visionaries, they have trouble leading because they can see it. Why don't you see it like I see it? So I know that, and then I'm able to see what those challenges are, and then I work to get better. I work to be more engaging. I work to develop relationships one-on-one. I look to follow my own advice that I write about. So for me, I just know that it's a process, and I'm not perfect, but I am looking to get better. And the greatest compliment you can receive is when your team comes up to you, which one did the other day. A teammate said, John, I could tell you're really working on your leadership. I can tell you're working on the way you're, when things are not going well and we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing and we're not getting things done like we should, you are leading in a much better way. Because I grew up with a New York City police officer as a dad, so it's like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you not getting this done right now?
Soft.
Yeah. So, so I've become a much more positive leader and the leader that I teach others to be. But I have realized, okay, I'm not the best leader, but I am the best at helping leaders build stronger teams. That's what I'm here for, to help leaders be positive leaders who build stronger teams. And I provide tools through all the books and all the resources for leaders to develop their teams. Finally, I realized I'm just a tool, which is what my wife calls me often. I'm a tool to help leaders be better leaders to build their teams. And I look back on that, I'm like, oh, that's why I'm here. So I love knowing that and doing that, but I still have to walk the walk myself on a daily basis and grow.
Yeah. And learning you're an introvert, you're an introverted extrovert, right? You live in an extroverted world as an introvert, and learning to manage those rhythms of here's my people time, here's my alone time. I'll be better with the people when I can get in a room by myself, decompress, get my stuff off, which is getting better, right? Learning ourselves is getting better.
You got to know yourself to grow yourself. You got to know yourself to grow yourself. And you also have to make sure that you are looking at examples of great leadership, and you're also following those examples. But where can I improve? Like just learning how business works, learning how when we do digital marketing ads that we're doing now, learning how that works. It's like life is a journey where you never stop learning and growing. And so now I'm watching these younger people come up who are speakers, and they're doing a lot of cool things with PowerPoint. And I don't really use PowerPoints, and I may never use it, but it's cool to see what they're doing and going, how could we do that? So I think it's like the coaches that we know and admire. What are you not doing that you can do? What fits your style? What fits your personality? And what do you need to add to your arsenal as a person, as a leader, as a husband, as a father, in all sorts of ways?
Well, I told you as we began, and my last question today is this. I think this is outside Energy Bus and training camp. Those are the two. I think this is going to provide some massive value to teams. What is your biggest prayer for how the Lord uses this book? That if a coach gets it, somebody gives it to them, they put it on their desk, and they open it up and they begin to read it. What's your biggest prayer about how God uses this?
Yeah, Mike, I wrote this book in 16 days. And so I know that I was meant to write this book to help leaders build stronger teams. My hope is that a team reads this book together. And there's so many great examples, stories, and lessons. It's a fable. It's a story. You can identify with the characters. But when you implement the team building exercises that this team does, you will see the power of that with your team. So my hope is that these leaders and teams read the book together, and then they become stronger, more united, more connected, selfless, that they become forever teammates. And as a result of that, they may not win a championship, but they're going to become champions and compete like champions, which give them the best shot. And then from that, they're going to learn lessons for their lives that are going to help them grow. And I hope that corporate teams read this book, and business teams read it, and school teams read it, because it's for everyone, and that you read it and go, oh, how can we be a stronger team for each other? Because I had the hard hat, which is about being a great teammate. I have the Power of a Positive Team, which is a really great book on real examples of what coaches and leaders and teams are doing out there, and frameworks and principles. So that's a really great book too. Power of a Positive Team is an incredible book for teams. But this is a story that every team could read, identify with, and when they're done, they're going to look at each other and go, you know what? We're a team. While we're together, let's commit to each other. Commit to the person in front of you, commit to the team, commit to the moment, and commit to bringing your best every day. You do that, and you're going to be a stronger team and a better individual.
Thank you for listening to the Linch with a Leader podcast with your host, Mike Linch. If you enjoyed this episode, you can help more people hear it by subscribing and leaving a review wherever you may be listening. For full episode notes and more spiritual leadership resources, visit MikeLynch.com.